Hey friends, back here with my good friend and co-host Mercedes Nicoll. It is the Brenton on Tour travel cast. We're hanging out. We're still in quarantine. We're just chilling. We have a very awesome interview today with our Mercedes' new best friend, Addie from Jetset and Travel. Mercedes, what's shaking up there in Whistler?
Oh man, I mean, still inside working out via video chat with my friends. So being accountable, keeping my mental health in check, going out for walks. Actually, we have a grizzly bear like these days. So I haven't been out since Mr. Grizzly came into town. That's Whistler in a nutshell.
Whistler in a nutshell, you either go out or you don't if there's grizzlies. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to go into the area that the grizzly is. That's for real. That's like,
how many people don't pay attention to that? And then every year, does someone get eaten by a grizzly up there? Is there some kind of weird like grizzly attack or anything like that?
You're being ridiculous.
I am not. It's like if you're warned about going into the ocean because there's sharks spotted in the area, some asshole's always going to go into the ocean because he's like, I can outswim a shark, and then they get eaten. So there's always some asshole somewhere.
Not that many people get eaten by sharks. It's like a fact that it's not that many.
I understand. I'm not debunking that thing. Okay. I'm just saying, if you put up a sign saying "Don't swim here," some asshole is always going to go swim there, right? It's like don't take your snowmobile on the ice past April, and some asshole's like, I can do it. Yeah. Same with like grizzly bear sighted. Don't go here. Some assholes making drunk plans going, you know what we should do tomorrow? We should go to that. Let's go to that. Let's go find a grizzly, right? That has to happen in Whistler more than anywhere else.
I mean, how many people see the notice that there's a grizzly bear? I don't know. But I put a little more hope in my people here, I guess. I don't know.
I've spent 2 weeks a year there for 6 years straight at the Whistler Ski and Snowboard Festival.
Oh, yeah, that's like a bunch of...
It's grizzly season, though. It's a bunch of morons that are in town.
Is coming up.
Those are the people I'm speaking about. I'm not speaking about the people that are aware.
I'm in a cocoon of like Whistler locals now, though. We know what's up.
You guys know what's up. So we're getting close to something. You're getting close to something. You want to tell us what's around the corner, man? It's so close.
Finally, it only took forever. Thank you, COVID, for giving me the time to launch next week, May 7th. My own personal podcast. It's called Dropping In, a podcast with Mercedes Nicoll.
So technically, since this is coming out this week, yours has already been released. Because I don't dare release this. I don't dare release this one on the day that you're releasing yours. So whenever I'm gonna go.
No, wait, you release on Wednesdays though.
Yeah. So
I'll release the day after.
Oh, well, look at that. So tomorrow, everyone. Tomorrow is the launch
of Dropping In, a podcast with Mercedes Nicoll.
Wait a minute. Mike can find us some music. Mike, I really need to push you here to find like just amazing celebratory music, because tomorrow Mercedes drops her new podcast. Ready? Mike, 3, 2, 1. That was really good. That was really, 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 really good. That was really good. So you must be excited. You're super excited.
I am, and it's a little strange, the first episode, because I'm dropping in on myself. I'm sharing my story so listeners will understand where I'm coming from, why I started the podcast, and what the next episodes will be about.
Well, and we've touched on your story a little bit on here to help build up the scenario and get people used to your fabulous self. But the full story is going to be on Mercedes tomorrow. So make sure everyone listening to this goes there immediately tomorrow to listen to hers, because it's an amazing story. And you have to hear about Mercedes and what she's been up to and her amazing story. You have to do it. It's mandatory.
Please and thank you.
please and thank you. But I'm at a stage with the listeners now where I can tell them, shit, go listen. She has to be polite because she's just launching tomorrow. So she has to politely ask you to come over. I get to tell you to get off your ass, go for a run, go for a bike ride tomorrow. You can sit on your ass and listen to this one, but tomorrow, get on your bike, go for a run, go for a walk, whatever the hell you got to do, put it in, listen. Subscribe, like, share, all that shit that you have to do with mine, you got to do with hers times 2. All right.
Let everyone know. Dropping in.
She's
We're
way
dropping
cooler
in.
than me. We're dropping in.
No, I'm not.
All right. So before we get to Addie Bell, we have a little game that we're going to keep playing here. We've been doing travel facts of the week. Today, we are going to do the same thing. We're going to pick 3 each. Travel facts of the week. Mike in the booth is going to hit go on the timer. 3, 2, 1. Mercedes, go.
Did you know that Saudi Arabia has no rivers?
I did not know that. How did where did and what?
It's a country in the Arabian Peninsula.
I understand where it is. They've just bought Saudi Arabia just bought everything, by the way. They've just bought everything. They're buying everything. So I know that much. Go ahead.
It's one of the 17 countries in the world without a single river flowing through it. That's all I have for you.
Well, that's an interesting fact, though. I believe it too, and it makes me question
what the 17 other ones are.
Yeah, exactly. It's the crazy.
You're up.
I'm up. All right. I've got a good one for you. How about this one? In Ethiopia, the current year is actually 2013.
No.
You didn't know this? It's 7 years behind us. They maintain their own calendar. And this is the quote, which due to a difference in the perceived date of the, how do I pronounce this? The annucation, I guess that's the word, is 7 to 8 years behind the Gregorian calendar. So the new year also begins on the 29th of August or August 30th, depending on where the calendar lies. So there you go. In Ethiopia, it's only 2013. 7 years behind us. Explains a lot. Go ahead.
They may still have COVID, though.
They may.
Okay. The UK has the world's longest country name.
Oh,
the United Kingdom of Great Britain.
That's your home.
North Ireland.
It's your home, right?
That's my root. That's my blood.
That's your roots,
right? My parents are both English. Yes. I didn't know that. That is a long name. That's a mouthful.
So what's your feeling on pineapple on pizza?
I'm in.
You're in.
It's Canadian.
A lot of people hate it. Did you know the Swedes banana is as popular pizza topping in Sweden?
No, not into that. But I've not tried it, so I can't speak on that because that would be wrong.
Well, Stockholm's one of my favorite cities in the world. Reminds me very much of Vancouver. I love it there. The Swedes that I know there are awesome, but they've never pushed the banana on a pizza to me. So I'll have to ask them that question next time I'm over there in 5 years.
Do you think it's like mashed up, or do you think it's just like sliced on top? I need to know more.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. That's what this is for. We're gonna research banana on pizza. Go ahead. One more for you. One more for me.
Okay. I just read this one and didn't believe it. Despite what people say, the Great Wall of China is not, I repeat, not visible from space.
No way.
Debunked. Even from low Earth orbit, the structure requires magnification to be seen by the human eye.
Really?
Were we just told lies as we were children?
Well, I think that the internet's lying. I'm not saying your facts. I'm saying all the pictures we see that are on the internet, they're about the Great Wall from space.
No, they're just magnified.
I understand, but
now we know.
That's insane. I'm insane. Okay, let's say I'm not insane. I'm up. Okay. Here we go. Here's one for all you swimmers out there. You don't need to wait an hour after eating before you can swim safely.
Well, that's
when you're traveling around the planet. Did you know this? You don't need to eat on the beach and then wait an hour before you're allowed to go get eaten by the shark.
But the reason, the real question here is, why did our parents tell us that?
Well, despite what your mother always told you, there's no medical data that suggests you can't swim in a full stomach. This is what I'm seeing. It can, however, feel uncomfortable and potentially lead to a feeling of nausea. So it's best to take a short pause after polishing off your sandwich before you go crashing or getting eaten in the surf. So that's what's happened there. Maybe your parents, it's an old tale, and no one debunked it.
Maybe they were just drinking and didn't want to have to like look after the kid in the water, and they just wanted to namaste for a bit.
I'm assuming that
you have kids.
I'm assuming that that's close to reality. It's like
did you tell your kids not to swim after eating?
I believe I've told them that. And the interesting thing is that I think they both took like competitive swim, and I believe the coach had told them the same, but mostly it almost echoes what that was saying, was like, you may feel a little bit sick, which may turn into a cramp. And that's the only thing about it, which I would assume also going on a roller coaster or any kind of like spaceship after you've eaten would also produce the same result. So there's that.
No upchucking in the pool, please.
Dropping in tomorrow with Mercedes Nicoll, the launch. I'm so excited for you. Tell everybody where they can find it and you.
Okay, we have a website, Dropping In with Mercedes. On Instagram, it's Dropping In with Mercedes, and all the links will be on Instagram if that's where you're at. I also have a Facebook page too, but really just look up Dropping In with Mercedes.
Amazing. We're going to get to Addie Bell right now on the Brenton on Tour Travelcast with my co-host and new podcaster, Mercedes Nicoll. Settle in, friends. Learn something about travel, save your bucks, and head to the Maldives. Here we go.
You're listening to the Brenton on Tour Travelcast with special co-host and four-time Olympian, Mercedes Nicoll. Brought to you by people who travel, people who love to travel, and all things travel.
Of $2 and a Casio.
After 2 podcasts, you're probably getting a better idea who he is, but his co-host Mercedes is way cooler than him any day.
That might not be what you want to hear.
Damn! So keep packing your oversized carry-on, stop clapping and standing when the plane lands.
Stupid idiots!
And direct your attention to your Travelcast cruise directors.
Now here they. Prepare the blast off. Ready to blast off. Knife switch. Main switch on. Main switch on.
Here's Mercedes and PD.
Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of the Brenton on Tour Travelcast. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mercedes Nicoll, up in Whistler, BC. How you doing up there?
I'm good. It's sunny out. That makes me happy.
Sunny in Whistler is always one of the most amazing places in the world. We are joined by the very excellent Addie Bell from Jetset Travel. How are you, Addie?
Hello, I'm well. Thanks for having me.
We are very happy to have you. We were basically talking about what we wanted to do travel-wise in the world right now. It's changed drastically. Mercedes and I have been kind of moving our way through the world of travel and offering different perspectives on what people are going through, obviously with traveling changing and stuff like that. And I came across you through Instagram. You had a great feed going about your travels around the world, and I just thought I would get you on so we can kind of talk a little bit about what's happening in your world and the rest of it. So tell us a little bit about you and what's going on with you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for following me on my journeys for travel on Instagram. Everything's been actually pretty good besides the whole booking aspect of it. My last trip was in London when I think we touched base where you were also at. So that was probably about 2 months ago now. Gosh, because has it gone by that fast?
I think so, yeah. It was definitely a while, yeah.
Yeah. So since then, I've been in Utah, in Park City, Utah, and I've been actually filling my days with tons of projects, work related. So I'm pretty busy still. It's just kind of a different part of work that I'm usually doing because I'm usually booking trips. I'm traveling myself. Everything travel-wise has pretty much stopped. So I'm just doing different types of projects to keep my business going.
It must be tough. You're in Utah, yeah?
I am. I'm in Park City, Utah. I actually live in Las Vegas, though. And I go to California quite often. And I was living in California about 3 years ago and made the move to Las Vegas, where I went to college.
Mercedes, have you been to Park City? They have a lot of skiing and snowboarding there, don't they?
I have. have. I've done a bunch of World Cups out there. It's a pretty cool place for sure. It's beautiful too.
I've
It
never
is. It's
never
a
been.
beautiful place.
It's
I'm a
very
pretty
different
big
from
skier.
Vegas. Oh, you
What
are?
is that?
Yay.
Yes. I am. I'm actually from New England. I'm from Rhode Island and grew up skiing in Vermont. And
Nice.
my family bought a ski house out here in Park City, and it's been, gosh, maybe about 15 years. So I'm out here pretty frequently to visit them and to also take advantage of the skiing.
So you've been traveling since you were young.
I have, not to the extent that I am now. I traveled growing up as a family. We actually took yearly ski trips around the world to kind of, that was our thing as a family. But, as I got older and after college and, my jobs have always led me to travel. So, yeah, I mean, right now, before this is happening, I don't remember the last time that I stayed home for longer than a month. I purposely stayed home last year in October, the full month of October, and I hadn't done that in forever. And now I've beat that of staying home longer.
Are you surviving right now? I mean, I travel, as we've talked about, a bunch, and it's I'm kind of digging being at home, but I don't know how long that's going to last. How are you doing?
I am too. I like routine, and I've never really had the opportunity to be in routine the last few years. So this getting in routine and, being home and eating healthy and having meals at home and having my consistent workouts is pretty nice.
Oh, I'm all about the
So
workouts
I'm taking advantage
too.
of it. Right? You can actually get in the groove. I mean, at home, I go grocery shopping and my food goes bad. So here there's, food being cooked and it's not going bad, and I can work out every day. I think I made a goal of, working out for 30 days straight, and, I have done that now. And usually when I'm traveling, it's hard to do that.
That's
So.
one thing we haven't touched on, Brent, is like, what's in your fridge when you travel so much? I feel you on that one. Like, my food is, I normally have nothing in my fridge because it will go bad. And now I've never cooked so much in my life, I don't think.
It's great, right? You're learning all these new recipes, and you didn't even know you could make all this stuff. I didn't know I had the ability to actually be a cook.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many ways you can make craft dinner. Up here in Canada. Up here in Canada, it's awesome. My fridge is generally full because we've got, I've got 2 kids to feed. So when I'm away, someone's feeding them. But when we get back, it's an interesting thing. So Jetset travel, I'm curious as to. It's a very specialized job that you have. People. I guess you can service everybody, but I'm guessing there's a certain kind of client that comes to you. Yeah.
So what was that?
Yeah, that's just looking for a very specific kind of travel.
Yes. So what I do, there are travel advisors out there for every type of travel. I do have a certain niche though. I cater to luxury travel. So I'm working with typically, the 1%ers of the world. I do, I can do anything, but that's usually what I cater to. And then I'm also doing corporate travel. So that means, from either organizing CEOs travel or doing large events. So I do group travel too. So I'll do big incentive trips, or I'll do, events that a company runs on a consistent basis. I'll go ahead and organize all of their contracts for hotels. So I do both. And then leisure travel is a huge aspect of my, day-to-day job. Is I have clients in the leisure aspect, which is honeymoons to baby moons to weekend getaways to family trips to reunions, everything in between. I do all of that as well, but really concentrating on those 5-star resorts.
How many of the 5-star resorts have you been to?
That's a very hard question. And you know what? It's something I've never counted, because before I even was a travel advisor, my last job, I was a director of events for a company, and I also traveled to 5-star properties. And then I also used to work in 5-star properties. So I mean, hundreds. I can't even, it's hard for me to put a number on it because I site visit so much.
All right,
and
really,
I also stay.
I'm gonna cut you off, and I'm gonna say, even tougher question. Do you have
yes, let's hear it.
A favorite?
Ooh, I have favorite brands.
Oh, like hotels? Okay.
I do. So I love the Montage brand. Have you heard the Montage brand?
I feel like I have, yeah.
So they are mostly based in the United States. They did branch out and they have one now in Cabo, and they are building. They actually, I believe, are building in London, and I think there's some other ones in the works that are coming around. But they have, their first property was in Laguna Beach, California, and I actually worked for the company, so I am a little bit biased. I was in the back end of their company,
A little bit
so I know how they run on the other side. What was that?
A little bit biased.
I am, but it could be the other way. Some people work for companies and they hate they hate that company or whatever it may be. So I've actually worked for them. I love what they do. And it's one of the biggest brands I send my clients to. So yes, Montage is one of my favorite properties. Their Laguna Beach property, I absolutely love. I also love their Deer Valley, Utah, which is right around the corner from me right now. It's a ski resort. And in addition to that, I love Four Seasons properties. So Four Seasons properties to me it's all about their service and their consistency. And that is huge because you go to one Four Seasons, it's going to be consistent, in Singapore or around the world, you're going to get the same type of service. And I love walking into a hotel and knowing that I'm going to be receiving that type of service.
It's all about the points, right? It's all about the service.
It is. So those are some of my favorites. But to answer your specific question, what comes to mind for me as a favorite resort is a property in a large resort. It's actually a boutique resort, but it's very big in the aspect of everything that they have for, pools and restaurants. Their villas are there's a limited amount, but it's in the Maldives. And
of course it is.
I know. It's called Cheval Blanc, and it's beautiful. They have a few properties around the world, but their one in Maldives is breathtaking.
Two-part question, Addie, to go with that. So you wrote an article about all-inclusive travel and how you're not really a huge fan of them, except you found one down in Mexico that you really dug. But you're talking about Maldives. Would you say, are there options for a middle-class family of four that you can offer? So, where it's like, hey, the Maldives is going to be 20 G's to get a family of four there probably, but there's like the Maldives part 2, or there's something. Do you have options? Do you focus on options for all sorts of kind of travelers, or are you just busy enough with the, a specific kind of client that it's tougher for you to focus on all those various options?
It really depends. And to answer your first question, yes, there are properties in the Maldives that do cater to 3-4-star hotels that are a little bit more budget friendly. But the only thing with Maldives that I tell people is, flying there itself is a little bit pricey. But yes, you can go there for a little bit of more of a reasonable cost. And also your second part of the question is, yes, I can. I mean, I can book any type of travel. I can book 2 stars if I was, if someone wanted me to. It's just not really so much my focus. In the beginning of my industry, I did take on anything when I started. Now, as I've gotten really busy, it's harder for me to take on the ones that might not hit a certain amount of money because it's so hard to reach out to that many people. And those actually take longer for me than the more luxury ones, which is surprising, but it's because I'm not as knowledgeable in those type of resorts and hotels. And my focus and all my education is really focused on those 5-star properties. And that's also where my networking takes place with those hotels and my relationship building. So I've built all these relationships with these 5-star properties. So I have connections to really get my clients to be taken care of when they arrive at those properties. If someone wants a 3 or 4-star property, I have to myself do more research because I don't know that market as well. And I don't have the relationships like I do with those 5-star properties. So I can absolutely do it. It just takes me longer to do, so I don't focus on it. I also don't like turning down business though. So I usually go ahead and assist that person and kind of help them out no matter what. But it might be either trading them off to somebody else that can really focus on that, or giving them options where they might be able to book on their own. And I can kind of lead them in that direction because I really do hate turning people away. Also, they could be a good referral source for me. So it's you got to really read that client and, see what they're looking for.
So when you're doing the like CEO ones, are you just booking everything, or are you there on foot with them for like every activity they do? Because I've been a speaker at some of these things, and there's always someone that's there, like guiding them around
Yeah.
to the next thing. Is that you, or you're just fully behind the scenes?
So that's actually what I used to do. Before I did this job, I was the director of events for a company that I did everything from the initial contract process, narrowing down a hotel, and then I was there with the company, putting the event on and making sure every little aspect was taken care of. Now, what I do is I do the contract aspect of it and make sure that is all, sorted out with the correct concessions and all the terms and conditions are how they need to be. And I hand it off to typically the events team who has an events manager who will be on property running the event. And of course, I'm there if needed from afar, but I'm not typically at events anymore. It's hard for me to do that. There are scenarios though, and I probably do about 1 or 2 a year where I will go with a company or one of my clients to assist them. But it's to the Maldives, yeah. But it's not common for me. Just my time is spent usually on behind the scenes.
Mercedes, this sounds like a great gig for you.
Yeah.
Well, no, I work in events too, so it's always nice to hear that side of the story, because so many people just don't think about the things that like are done behind the scenes, and people wouldn't be there.
Events is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny.
Events it's one of the hardest jobs I have ever done, because you have to go into it knowing that it's not going to be perfect that day of an event, or prior to an event, and you have to be on your toes. You have to think really fast to fix something, to make a solution. You gotta be creative, and it's hard because things always not necessarily go wrong, but go differently.
Yeah, and I'm in events as well, Addie, and I, I have that moment when the lights go out and the band comes on. That's usually a pretty great moment in the day. It's like, okay, we were able to load in, we got the show up, everyone's in the building. I don't know what that's going to look like now, but we're going to go through it. Are you getting time right now are you having to refocus right now given the break, or are you just doubling up your information right now to be able to offer? Because I'm assuming that when this thing goes away, everyone's going to be back on a plane or trying to go somewhere fast.
Yeah, that's the hope. What I've been doing during this time is, I've been moving a lot of clients. So there's, a couple things that go on right now. It's either clients want to move their date to, next year, later in the year, or they just want to cancel. So I've been really concentrating on catering to all my clients that had trips booked for, the summer, even up to the holidays, kind of whatever they feel the most comfortable. And then on the corporate side, I had large events booked for the whole year. So and events are really hard to take place right now. Obviously, they have to restructure what they're going to do for the event side. So I've been moving a lot of my events to next year. So that's been very time consuming. But besides the movement part of what I'm doing right now is I'm really educating myself on different parts of the world and networking. So a lot of my hotels and partners are having webinars daily, education courses. So I've been just digging into everything I can to really, really make sure I can learn what I need to learn that I might not have in the past, or just kind of get a refresher. So when I am back to normal, I have, more knowledge, and now's the time to do it. So I've been focusing on that. I've also been focusing on, the workflow processes. I'm about 3.5 years into my business, and I got to the point where I was just so busy that I was just moving so fast that it's great right now to have the time to really set up my CRM system how I want it, my workflow processes of, email templates and those type of things that I never had time to do. So I'm taking the time to really kind of restructure how I work. So when I get back to hopefully normal, which I'm positive it will, I'll be ready for it.
Awesome. So you said you had webinars going on. Does this mean that you are know what the next in place to travel is?
Yes. Well, this is what we are
allowed
predicting.
to tell us?
Yeah. This is more of like an overview of what, the world is predicting for travel.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay.
So as you probably know, international travel is going to be a little bit, people are going to be a little bit hesitant to book upfront, maybe the remaining of the year. People aren't going to be traveling as far because of, being on planes or whatever it may be. And actually right now, Italy is even saying that, it all depends right now on, one, the governments, but two, when are flights going to be welcoming people back into their country. So for Italy, for example, I had a conversation with my partners in Italy last week, and they are predicting that the flights, the airlines are not even going to be coming into their country until probably the end of the summer. So that's going to slow down, the openings. They are going to open for people, in their local areas to come visit, but their real big focus is typically international travel. So it is going to take, through the summer right now, that people probably won't travel there. And then once it does get back up for traveling, it's going to be slower. So two sides of that, it's going to be beautiful for those people who want to experience Italy and not be a huge tourist, it's a big tourist destination, and it's not going to be like that when people get started in booking again. So it's going to be nice because you're going to have Italy to yourself. So that's a positive, point of it.
Are you saying we're going to Italy?
Yes, we're going to Italy.
Well, Venice isn't underwater anymore, so you can actually see it.
It's not. And it's going to be not as crazy busy, so people are actually going to enjoy traveling there without the huge crowds. Yeah. So that's going to be one nice thing about going international, but it's going to be a lot slower. What we are finding is domestic travel is going to be huge within the next probably 12 months, within the next year. So we are really educating ourselves as advisors on local travel. So there's a lot of people who are not going to feel comfortable getting on planes and want to still go somewhere but be able to drive there. So local destinations are going to be huge for the next 12 months, which I focus on a lot. I do a lot of United States travel for clients anyways. So it's, it's an easier, it's actually very easy for me to, book locally because I know United States pretty well. So that's going to be the really big focus. But then you're going to have those people, my clients that cannot wait to travel and get on a plane, and they want to go somewhere as far away as they can. So you're going to have two sets of people, but they are predicting domestic travel is going to be where it is for the next 12 months.
So for that luxury travel domestically, are people I'm just thinking luxury ridiculousness. Are people going to be having chauffeurs with Bentleys? Or is there going to be an up in Bentley rentals?
It's funny. I just had this conversation last week with somebody, and yes, private transportation is going to be huge for especially the luxury market, because people are going to be a little bit more hesitant to jump in an Uber. Also, public transportation is going to be a little bit scary for some people. So yeah, private transfers are going to be huge, and that market's going to boom after this because people want to make sure that they're, making sure precautions and being solo in their way of transportation. So I can
ask you a million questions because I just want to know, international travel, before this all happened, what was the hot spot that everyone was going, and then after, what do you think will be the new international hot spot? Boom.
Me personally, for my clients, I book a lot of Mexico. So I book a lot of Cabo. I also have a lot of clients that are California based. Well, for California based, it's really easy for my clients. So I have a lot of people who go to Cabo. But besides just the Cabo and Caribbean that I do a lot of, the big one for Europe, I do a lot of Italy. I also do a lot of Greece. So those are the two huge ones that we're focusing on. I had some Ireland that I felt like Ireland was coming up a lot more than it was in the past.
If you need an Olympian to go with them, I'll go to Ireland. I love all those.
That would be fun. You could be my trainer.
There it is.
There we go.
You can come with me.
Yes.
The Brenton on Tour travel cast now officially sponsored by Jetset and Travel. It seems as Mercedes has a new gig. You'd have a lot of fun with that, Mercedes. You'd have a blast.
I would love it.
Not to mention you guys would travel a lot and have a blast together. That'd be fun to see that.
How often are you? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I said, how often are you both traveling before all this?
Well, I mean, I'm out 7 months a year, roughly 7 to 8 months a year, and I probably did 100 flights last year. And
Wow.
about 100 and I think I did 103 countries or something like that. So it's
Well, you keep track.
It was pretty busy.
Wow, I know.
Because
That's
it's kind of like, there's a bit of like where I'm getting to a point of just by job, not from spending money and bragging. It's just the job has taken me to a lot of places, and then there's new ways and new places to do shows. And how are we going to do a show there? Do they even have power? It's kind of like that. Some of those things are South America. You get into Argentina. You get into some of these places. It's tougher to do shows and things like that. So I definitely keep track. I like to, for my own purpose, like to find out where I've been and where I still need to go. But it's kind of a cool thing to sort of see where you can go over the span of a course of a year when you're on tour and you're traveling as much as I do. But happy to be home right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a nice change.
When I was competing, I was probably home just for Christmas. And other than that, it was just on the road. And now I'm 2 years out, and I've still found amazing opportunities to travel. Like this year, I spent a month in Switzerland with the Youth Winter Olympic Games. And I got to go to Egypt in November with my family, which was all time.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm probably traveling at least every other month, except for COVID times.
COVID times.
Yeah, COVID times.
But, I would say that, and I don't know if you agree, do you two agree on this thing, but I want to tell people, don't be afraid to, the second this is done, just find a way to do it safely and get out there and go see everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You got to get out and go. If you have the opportunity to do it, you got to go.
I agree. I mean, you only live once, and you can't be afraid of life. Once it is safe, you gotta keep on going. I mean, you can't be afraid to. It's the same thing after. I hate to bring this up, but like after large shootings or things like that, people get scared to go into big event spaces or concerts, and you can't live your life like that. As long as it's safe, you got to keep on going with it, and just make sure you're practicing safety and you're smarter, and you can't just stay home. You can't be locked in your house.
Yeah. I love where I live, but I can't wait to travel again.
Yeah.
Addie, we'll let you go soon. I just I want to debunk a myth on this. There is to the point we were talking about earlier about you not being a huge fan of all inclusive and dealing with 5-star. Is there such thing as a 6-star? Because I've heard of this secret society of people that go 5-star. Nah.
Yeah.
I need to be 6 or better. Well, where do you find those?
It's so funny. Well, you know what? There are places that are at the level that I would consider that are higher than 5-star, because the map of what a 5-star is very different. So, for an example, a 5-star in the United States, and I always say this comparison, a 5-star in the United States is actually very different than a 5-star in Italy, in, Amalfi Coast, let's say. Someone who, I say this to a lot of people, they're like, okay, it's very expensive in Italy, especially Amalfi Coast, and they say, I want to travel, and the 3-star and 4-star properties in Amalfi are the prices of the 5-star in the United States. But when you go into their properties, they're even a lower level than you would expect, because they're just not up to the standards typically of what a 5-star is in the United States. So the levels of what the stars are kind of across the world do vary. Even, myself going to the Maldives, their properties are extraordinary. And in my mind, they are 6-star properties. They are better than any 5-star anywhere else, but they still, the reason why there's the 5 stars and where that comes about is because of the whole Forbes standards. So they only go up to 5 stars, and same with AAA. So like there's AAA, Diamond, there's that kind of rating. But then when we're talking about 5 stars, it's really based on Forbes 5-star standards and how Forbes goes in and rates these hotels. So 5 stars is kind of the limit where they put it. And that's what you can get as being the best. But in my mind and other, I know advisors' minds, there are 6 stars hotel properties that do come to mind for me that could outbeat a lot of 5 stars in the world. But they're just not. They're just not. You can't list that on your website.
And I guess everyone has their own individual feeling on what a 5-star is as well. Right?
Exactly.
Everyone has their own needs and wants and the rest of it.
Exactly.
So any advice for future travel heads right now as far as someone coming into your business? Because you've obviously carved out your niche and you're rocking, and which is awesome. But there's some people that are going to just get into the travel business now. Is it a good time to get in as a travel agent, or do you have to be a very specific, specifically to one kind of travel, or do you recommend it's a good time to get in for somebody right now?
So I actually have some friends that had just started, this industry in January. I have a few that had started, which is a very hard time to start because they had 2 months, and in the beginning it's slow anyways. And my advice to them that I've been saying is keep on going. It's a time where it's going to be hard, and even no matter what besides this, your first year in the business is hard no matter what. So yes, it's going to be harder than normal, but it will get better and you're going to come out stronger. And actually, this is the best time to build your foundation and to learn about everything. So there's so much going on with education in our industry right now. There's so many hotels that are taking the time to educate advisors on their properties, on the world, on different adventures, activities. So soak, and someone coming into this, now is the time to soak this all in because they're putting the information out there. And then when everything opens up, you're going to have the knowledge to go with it. And my advice to everybody trying to get into this industry is follow your dreams, follow your passion. If you love it, do it. Put the effort into it and do it. And you won't know until you try. So don't let this stop you.
I think that goes for anything in life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mercedes, I've heard you say, Mercedes has said a lot of the same stuff on a TED Talk, so it's great. So I think it applies to everybody. Addie, please direct us to where everyone can find you online. Anyone that's looking to spend all of their money on travel when this thing ends, go visit our friend Addie here and get her to set you up at the Maldives. Where can they find you? Where can people locate you?
A couple different ways. You can either find me on Instagram at Jetset and Travel, and that's and spelled out AND, or you can find me on my website, which is jetsetandtravel.com, or my email address is abell, ABELL, at SmartFlyer, which is SmartFlyer.com.
And all of that info is on your Instagram.
It is. Yes. It is all on my Instagram, and I love networking with people. So anyone who just wants to chat about travel or, wants to tell me their favorite places to travel, go ahead and hit me up.
Don't worry. I've got more questions. They're going to go into your messages. I can't wait.
I also want to listen to your TED Talk. So if you can pass those links over to me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I will.
Well, Addie, might I recommend something that Mercedes and I touched on in the intro that you'll be able to hear back next week. Because Mercedes is about to launch her brand new podcast. So it sounds to me like you two could do another hour and a half just on hers. So I'm going to push that agenda right here, right now.
Boom.
Definitely get on and make that happen because Mercedes has got an amazing story. And all kidding aside and all jokes aside, Addie, actually Mercedes would be one hell of a guest for your guests. She's got a great inspirational story, and everyone would love to talk to her about her story. So, hey, maybe you guys can connect. It's great.
I would love it. Yeah, just from a little bit I've heard from both of you, I'm intrigued. So I'd love to hear more.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today and answering all our questions, or more so my questions.
Yeah, get ready, Addie. Settle in with, I know you're drinking coffee on this podcast, but for the one with Mercedes, you might need a bottle of wine because she's probably got 100 questions for you.
I love Max Away. I'm ready for it.
You're ready to go. Thanks, Addie, for your time. Everybody, as I said, go see your friend Addie and book yourself onto a fabulous vacation somewhere. And you never know, you may just see Mercedes out there with you.
Yes, thank you so much as well. Appreciate it.